Ferrari seems to have a lot to unfold after the Miami GP, as Lewis Hamilton was left fuming with the strategy choices of the Maranello-based squad. There seems to be a big discrepancy between what he wants and what he actually receives from the team. So with this in mind, could we look at a very troublesome relationship ahead of us? And more importantly, how does Hamilton feel after the latest strategy choices of Ferrari in Miami? The situation in Ferrari is definitely as tense as it could be, despite the team trying to play down the radio messages sent from Hamilton to his race engineer Adami. After calling his own strategy during the sprint race and climbing on the podium, Hamilton hoped to replicate the success in the race as well. However, a P12 start meant that he was always going to have a limited race. But the strategy in the virtual safety car somehow put him in a position to chase Antonelli in P6 on a fresh set of medium tyres. However, he went on to spend the majority of that tyre running behind his teammate in dirty air. Hamilton complained a lot because he wasn't happy with how he gave up the position in China, but wasn't reciprocated nearly the same here in Miami. The 7-time world champion was arguably fuming because he knew that he was in the right, and he continued to mount pressure on his race engineer to swap the positions and not waste time fighting each other, and giving Sainz the opportunity to snatch away the 8th position at the end of the race. There was a big delay in the swap, and prior to that, Riccardo Adami told Hamilton that he needs to stay within DRS compared to Leclerc. Of course, this made absolutely no sense, and to this decision of the team, Hamilton said, "This is not good teamwork, that is all I am going to say." Again, Hamilton said that in China he felt like it was the slower car, and then they swapped positions, and Adami told him to stay calm and that they would do the swap here as well. Lewis, however, wasn't feeling it at all, and when addressing this situation, he kind of gave some advice to the race strategists. Have a tea break while you're at it, come on. To see a 7-time world champion address his team like that, you just have to understand that something is very wrong with the way that they're dealing with the entire situation. But again, what is even more painful is that Hamilton wasn't really given a proper chance because he burned up a big amount of the medium tyre behind Leclerc. So this prompted another interesting comment from the Monegasque driver. He asked the team if they could tell Hamilton to go a bit faster because now he is in dirty air. Leclerc didn't have a bad word to say about the fact that Hamilton asked for a car swap. He would have done the same thing if he was in his position. And when addressing this unpleasant situation, Shah added, "I understand as well that he wanted to try and do something different, so I appreciate that. I would have done the same thing if I were him and trying to be a bit more aggressive with the medium tyres. There are no bad feelings with Lewis, not at all. I understand that he wants to try and optimise the car's potential. The car's potential is just this, which is frustrating." So what actually happened after that is that Leclerc's tyres were brought into their optimal operating window, given the fact that he was on hard while Hamilton was on mediums. This prompted a question from Bozzi towards Leclerc: how fast do you think you can go in clean air? And the answer was simple: I have no idea. All in all, Lewis had to receive yet another humiliating message. Bring the position back. We are not catching Antonelli anywhere near soon. And when he was given this message, he got information about where Sainz was, 1.4 seconds behind him. This is probably the most sarcastic comment that Hamilton then made towards his race engineer. That was the peak of his anger. Do you want me to let him past as well? So in the aftermath, both Lewis and Vasseur have tried to play down the comments made during the race, but it's much harder to do that when you know what you've missed out on throughout the competition. True, we are nowhere near what we want to see in Ferrari, and the team is not satisfied with the performance of the car at all. That has been emphasised by Leclerc as well. But this is not something that can be controlled by the drivers if the car is lacking performance all around. And it's not something they can do if the communication behind the pit wall is as bad as it can be. Elaborating on his race and the comments that were sent towards his race engineer Adami, Hamilton said, "Well, firstly, I genuinely enjoyed the race. I think this weekend, while we were not as quick as we wanted to be, I feel like I had a better weekend in general. It wasn't even anger. It wasn't like effing and blinding or anything like that. It's like, make a decision. You're sitting there on the chair, you've got the stuff in front of you, make the decision, quick. That's how I was. I was me. We are in panic. We are trying to keep the car on the track. We are computing things fast." Again, a very hard thing to process here is the fact that in China, Hamilton had no intention of holding Shah whatsoever in order to allow him to run in clean air and try to catch the car ahead. That, however, was not the case in Miami, where the team spent a lot of valuable time in which Hamilton might have used his tyres properly in order to catch up with Antonelli. Although it's still for a position that we don't want to see Ferrari in, P6, it would have been a great race for the Brit, who started it all the way back in P12. Elaborating on his thoughts of the delay and how the Chinese race came to mind right away, Hamilton explained, "You saw when I was in China the way my mind works. I'm clearly holding the other car up. Of course, I don't want to lose that place, but if it means the team can get further ahead, I want that for the team. So that's why I decided to let Shah pass in China. Today, I was on a different strategy. I was on a much quicker tyre. Shah was struggling and it took a long time for everyone to see it. And by then, it was too late. We'll discuss it. It's just a race." But what if you were to ask Vasseur about this entire situation? Well, the Frenchman is adamant that the team did everything they could and they shouldn't be baptised in front of everyone, especially not in front of the fans. But nevertheless, he understands the pressure that comes from managing drivers like Leclerc and Hamilton, especially the 7-time world champion, who comes with such a great stature and importance for the team. He's supposed to be the pillar of Ferrari in the times to come, but from what we can see, the situation is all but going in that direction. When talking about the decision of the swap being considered a late one, Vasseur said, "It didn't take so long to bring a decision. It was 1.5 laps or something like this, and when we have two cars not with the same strategy, the first thing for me to understand is if it's faster when you are behind due to the zeros or not. It took us 1 lap. It means that it takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to understand. I had a discussion with Lewis and I can perfectly understand the frustration. They are champions. They want to win races. We are asking them to let the team go. It's not easy. It never is." And what you can't take away from Hamilton is the fire that he still very clearly has for this sport. He even said it himself. This is why the messages have appeared to be a lot fiercer than usual, but nevertheless, you can't put your driver out on the dry just like that. Hamilton expressed his sincere thoughts and said that things could have gone a lot worse if he wanted them to, and when addressing the talk that he had with Vasseur, the Brit elaborated, "Fred came to my room, I just put my hand on his shoulder and was like, dude, calm down. Don't be so sensitive. I could have said way worse things on the radio. You've got to understand we're under a huge amount of pressure within the car. You're never going to get the most peaceful messages coming through in the heat of the battle. I've still got my fire in my belly. I could feel a bit of it really coming up there. I am not going to apologize for being a fighter. I am not going to apologize for still wanting it. I know everyone in the team does too, and I truly believe that when we fix some of the problems that we have with the car, we'll be back in the fight with the Mercedes, with the Bulls." With all this in mind, what do you think about Hamilton's anger towards Ferrari? And more importantly, do you think there is any chance that we'll see Ferrari competing for wins sooner rather than later? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, have a look at the video that's appearing on your screen right now.